We are going to learn as to how William Douglas learned to conquer his fear of water and emerge victorious. How did the instructor make him learn swimming? Douglas went to a pool and practiced 5 days a week, an hour each day. The instructor put a belt around him. A rope attached to the belt went through a pulley that ran on an overhead cable. He held on to the end of the rope and they went back and forth across the pool. Hour after hour, day after day, week after week. After this, the instructor taught Douglas to put his face underwater and exhale, and to raise his nose and inhale. Douglas repeated this exercise hundreds of times. Next, the instructor held him at the side of the pool and made him kick with his legs for several weeks. Thus, piece by piece, he built a swimmer out of Douglas. And when he had perfected each piece, he put them together into an integrated whole. The instructor taught all the steps to Douglas necessary to be a swimmer. First, he taught him to go back and forth in the water. Then, he taught him to inhale above water and exhale underwater. Then, for the efficiency of the leg movement, he held him at the side of the pool and made him kick with his legs. Thus, he perfected each step to make a swimmer out of Douglas. Every step had to be perfected because in swimming, all the steps had to be taken simultaneously in synchronization. Finally, one day the instructor said, "Now you can swim. Dive off and swim the length of the pool. Crawl and stroke." I did. I did. The instructor was finished, but I was not finished. What is the meaning of this important line? The instructor was finished, but I was not finished. It means the instructor had done his job, that of making the writer learn swimming, but the student was not sure whether he could swim all alone without any terror or fear looming in him. The real test was to begin now. The test of conquering fear. Fear of water. He started swimming the length up and down. Tiny impression of terror would return, would haunt, but he would frown and tease the terror. Trying to scare me, eh? Well, here is this to you. Look, and off he would go for another length of the pool. To test himself further, he went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire, dived off a dock at Triggs Island, and swam 2 miles across the lake to Stampack Island. All these are situated in US. When he was in the middle of the lake, he put his face under the water. He saw nothing but bottomless water. The old sensation returned. The old fear and terror returned. He laughed and said, "Well, Mr. Terror, what do you think you can do to me?" The terror fled and he swam on. Still, the writer was not convinced. He had some doubts. So, on the first opportune moment, he went up the Titan to Conrad Meadows, up the Conrad Creek Trail to Mead Glacier, and camped in the high meadow by the side of the warm lake. The next morning, he dived into the lake and swam across to the other shore and back. It was a huge success for the writer. One who had so much of fear for water had now succeeded to conquer it. Happy, elated beyond words, he shouted with joy, and Gilbert Peak returned the echo. Finally, Douglas had conquered his fear of water. Aptly said, "Where there is will, there is a way." The writer believes that this experience had a deep meaning for him, and only those people who had experienced such terror and suffered could appreciate and value the efforts put by Douglas to overcome them. William Douglas sums up his experience very profoundly by saying, "In death there is peace. There is terror only in the fear of death." Meaning, the terror which had filled the writer's mind in the pool when he was breathless, choked, and suffocated, that he was dying, the feeling was horrifying. But when he was actually dying, he felt very peaceful and calm. That is why he says, in death, there is peace. There is terror and panic only in the fear of death. Franklin Roosevelt, the then President of America, who was closely acquainted with the writer, summed up the experience in these words: all we have to fear is fear itself, meaning fear paralyzes our physical and mental ability.